Okay, we are live. All right. Just want to make sure. All right. Hey, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories. Today is March 19th, 2024, and I'm here today again with John Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing awesome. I really am.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're going to, for the sake of this video, assume that people have watched the previous ones. Um, these videos are based on the book that John wrote, Stolen Identity, all right, which you can get on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It is a very easy book to read, although the content is very hard. So it describes, John, the president of the most popular US president ever, who was assassinated in broad daylight in front of the entire world. It kind of chronicles what happens afterwards. It tells various stories. So summary version is John was put into a type of witness protection program, but the place he went was filled with organized crime communities, drugs, torture, human trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. So John witnessed a lot of interesting things. Within years, John's entire biological family were murdered and all replaced with doubles. So what we've been seeing in the public eye for all these years have been doubles. All right. And so, unfortunately, John was tortured, kidnapped multiple times, abused, kept in poverty, and almost killed numerous times. So that's the summary version. Welcome, John. Um,
Thank you. And they
let
still hinder us from getting this story out.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
still it's so huge they don't want this story out. But I keep sharing, and I thank you for sharing. And
Yeah.
we're gonna get it out because we ain't giving up. We ain't giving
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So what I told people is last time, buy the book and pass it along to your friends and family, but go to your libraries or your used bookstores or wherever and ask them to stock the book so other people can read it. Pass the videos along. John has a TikTok channel that they like to take down. So he's been doing a lot of videos and I've seen them. They've shown different proof and all of that. And of course, then they're taken down. So it's really hard to get this kind of word out. I've been telling people, I think it's a grassroots movement. Basically, the common folk, okay, we're going to share the story around to build awareness of the story because the top levels don't want the story out there. All right, so we have to do our part to get it out there. Takes a little effort, but it's well worth doing. So,
Yeah, the United States and our allies, England and Canada, it's so huge. It scares the shit out of me for the future of our country. I was talking with Robin last night about it, how, and I've been sharing it for so long. It's discouraging for me because they don't want it out. They don't want the story out. They're doing everything. Um, Not everything. I'm still here, being able to breathe, but yeah, it really gets to me because it's I know in my heart, I've learned it with the CIA and the Secret Service and the FBI, and just being in the White House since I was 3 years old, how it works and what's going down, and the identity theft, the murder, it's huge. The United States of America,
right, right.
England, Canada, Australia, and on and on and on has been taken over by organized crime. And who's behind it? I believe the Communist Party is behind a lot of it. Um, all the way to Donald Trump. All the way to Donald Trump. He's a very good Hollywood actor. He's a very good liar. He's a very good deceiver. He's put in place by organized crime, and he is put in place. He's not the boss. He's put in place by organized crime to deceive the people. You got Biden, no different, but Biden's a good cop. Donald Trump's a bad cop. And when you look at them both and wake up, they're the same crime ring. If people did a little research, Epstein was huge in making the media and what he did with child trafficking and with children and Epstein's Island. You look at the list, they're all friends. They all hang out together. There's several photos. of Epstein and John, the whole world knew. John Kennedy, the whole world knew. Right in there with Epstein. Donald Trump, right in there with Epstein. It's one big organized satanic crime ring, and we need to expose them. And I am eyewitness to a lot of it. It's not like I'm just okay. I'm pulling this out of the air. I am a personal eyewitness to Donald Trump's dead body in 1989. I'm a personal eyewitness to John George Onassis, the one that stole my identity at 10. He's dead. He ain't coming back. But the spin they play is huge. But it's one big, huge crime ring of deception on the United States, America, and everybody involved. And I'd like to read this. I read it all the time. This is a quote from my father. It takes up a whole page in my book. My father, the president of the United States, said this quote before he was executed. There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. And then he was assassinated. That sums it up right there in short. He wanted to expose what I'm trying to expose, this big, huge crime ring in our government, organized crime, the mafia, whatever you want to call it. They're no good for the American people, and they need to go. They are, if not, they're accessories to pre-planned first-degree murder and identity theft. And they're making billions of dollars. When Donald Trump, my cousin, was killed, and they put a body double in his place, it's instant billions, instant billionaire. A couple murders, the replacement of my sister Caroline, the replacement of me, and the replacement of my mom Jackie made them billions of dollars. Donald Trump was right in there selling off my father's goods, my mother's goods. He's right in there at Trump Tower having an auction with Sotheby's. They made millions of freaking dollars. You hear of Donald Trump being exposed for this and this, but they're so huge. The crime ring is so huge they cover it up, just like they're trying to cover up me every time. I'm going old school. However, the internet, they control the internet. They can put the handful of people, the handful of lions, all in a little group, so the story doesn't get out to the world. But
Right.
we need to go old school. We need to share it. If you get a copy of my book, send it to a congressman, send it to a senator, send it to somebody on the Hill. Wake them up. Let's see who has a heart of gold and who has a heart of coal, because we need to know the
Yeah.
criminals from from the good people that will support Americans. We really need to get this out old school. However, we got to do it. Take your book, and when you go to the store, hold your book and say, "Hey, this book is the best book ever. You need to check it out. Our
Right.
country's in danger. Share, 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 because our country is in huge danger." I did a video um like 6 years ago, I'm thinking, and I had a world map, and I had the map of the United States, and I was just moving the pin around, and it was like this could be the plan of China and Russia to invade the United States. The wall on the invasion, all the people coming across the border. But if they hit, they're going to hit us from the coast. And Americans have nowhere to flee. Women and children, if they start the invasion on the United States coming down from the top, they're going to have to go through Mexico. Anybody wanting to flee will have to go through Mexico. And this goes back from me sitting with Ronald Reagan and the military advisors, and they were discussing what happens if America is invaded. And it scares the shit out of me, because we have a fake government. The people in charge aren't even who they say they are. They are put in place to deceive us. But yeah, on that video I made with that map, I literally had the chills. I was shivering. I was like, they're going to hit us, from the West Coast. They're going to hit us from the East Coast, and they're going to hit us coming straight down. And build a border wall. That's the last thing we need. We got enough military and National Guard and every other thing. We could
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
we could stop the flow of immigrants coming in, and maybe a whole lot of bad guys invading this country right now.
Right.
Um, but yeah, people need to wake up to what I'm saying, because it means I'm willing to die for what I'm saying for the United States and this country. I'm willing to come on here and share what I know and what I have learned. And what I've learned should scare the shit out of a lot of people. It really,
Right.
really should. They wake them up. You know, there's a lot of Donald Trump supporters, and it's really, really sad because he's running his mouth about what he's going to do and all the good things he's going to do. But in reality, he's not going to do a fucking thing to help the American people. He's just running his mouth for organized crime to get the vote in. He's still the same person that's guilty of identity theft and pre-planned first degree murder. You know, it's huge. Every day you see identity theft on the commercials. Identity theft happens every 3 seconds in this country. Why is that being allowed to happen? Why isn't our government doing anything? And what's the extreme? That's the name of my book, Stolen Identity, because it's so huge what's going on.
Right.
It
Right.
goes every 3 seconds, but it goes all the way to pre-planned first degree murder and the takeover of the United States. And I'm trying to share it's a takeover of the United States of America by organized crime. And they ain't going to give a shit about me and you and anybody else. It's all about them. And they, like my father said in that quote, want to enslave us all. Communist
Right.
Party. We already have a regime, and we can tell that by me trying to share my story. And no justice, no FBI showing up here, no Secret Service showing up here, no CIA members saying, "Hey, John, um, we want to help you get your justice for all the murders of your loved ones. We want your name back, your birth name." But it don't happen. There's no cars pulling up in my driveway, and I know too much, and it scares the shit out of them because I'm exposing them for being criminals in 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 all of it. And we need to go, like I said, we need to go old school and
Yeah.
break the barrier of this
Yeah.
organized crime.
This problem is bigger than just the US. Now, so we're in the US. It makes us easy to talk about the political system because we know it. But as we said in our last video, both parties are corrupt. All right. They're basically friends. They're just acting like enemies in the public eye. And I'm talking about most of the politicians, of course, but they all have dual citizenship. They have no allegiance to the Constitution, and they really don't care about us, the people. They want our money. They want the work we provide, but they don't want us. But that's a worldwide problem. It's not just the US.
Oh, and it
But
breaks my heart because I pledged an oath to the Queen. I called the Queen Queen Mother, and there's pictures of me bowing to the Queen. I had dinner with the Queen a couple times, but I pledged an allegiance that I would do everything in my power and be willing to die for England.
oof,
And that breaks my heart. It really does because now that I'm older, I'm trying to share, I'm trying to get the story out that England has been taken over with identity theft all the way from Princess Diana. Princess Diana was replaced as a child, just like I was. The beautiful Princess Diana you knew and everybody saw wasn't even royal blood. She was put in by organized crime. Her children aren't blood to the kingdom. And you know, I met her a couple times when I was young. She had a heart of gold. I believe that's why she was killed because she wanted to expose that she wasn't even real, what was really going on, and the takeover. But even though she was a body double herself, um, they got rid of her because she knew too much. But it's huge, you know.
so what
And
you're
my heart,
saying is the real Princess Di you met as a child, and she was obviously alive. They killed her, put a double in her place. That's the one we saw marry Prince Charles, and that's the one we saw get
no,
killed.
I believe the real Princess Diana was Brenda. I got a picture of me, Caroline, and my mom, and Eisenhower and his wife, and a priest at an orphanage. They would get children from orphanages, but I was there with very, very young age, and I believe I had met the real Princess Diana. She wasn't princess then, but um, she was crying, and when I talked to her, her maid, it wasn't her mother that was there because her mother was killed and her father was killed. She was crying hysterically, said that her whole family was killed, and yeah, Jackie ended up bringing her to the United States and putting her in so-called witness protection program. and the Princess Diana that the whole world knew popped up as her. But
Hmm.
Brenda's passed away now. I told Brenda 5, 6 years ago I was going to share my story. We talked about it. We were driving in my car to the store listening to AC/DC, and I said, I'm coming out. I'm sharing my story. I don't care. And I took a picture of her and said, "This is Brenda. This is the real Princess Diana." And 2 weeks later, she had passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, but I made a video on it. I think it got 100 and something thousand. Maybe they took it down already because my story is huge. I've met a lot of people. Um, but in a nutshell, it's the takeover of England, the takeover of the United States with identity theft. They're so
Right.
powerful. They get the children. They replace the children. The mafia, and I've seen it. It's all about their blood. It's all about the family. Um, you'll die in the mafia, you'll die for the family, but it's all about their blood. So when they decide to pre-plan something, a murder, to put their blood in, just like George Onassis's son, they put him in my place at 10. They wanted him to live the good life. They wanted me to live the life of poverty. And that's exactly what happened. He wanted to be a mafia don, and he wanted to kill for money, and they killed him for it also. It's
Wow.
a murder crime ring. They they
Yeah.
they have no remorse or anything. Like, when my sister was killed when I was young, I could tell you some stories about what they do with children, and it's all about blood, um, their blood, and they took over the whole Kennedy family. They took over my mother's side of the family, my uncle and his family. Robert Kennedy, if you look, there's pictures popping up. Robert Kennedy with all these other people, of the same crime ring. It's huge, but it's all one big family in government, and they're all connected, just like
Okay.
Epstein. No, no, no different.
Okay. Well, let's talk about RFK Jr. Do you have any knowledge as to whether we'll call the original or if he's a replacement?
All I know, somebody posted a video the other day where he was touching his nose, knowing that I was alive. And I remember when I was young, he was under MK Ultra. Also, he was under their power, as when we were kids. And if he had been murdered and replaced, I don't know if he is the original. He's a sellout to organized crime. He's going with their program because they are placed before. Um, I can't express it enough. Organized crime puts the Democrat, puts the Republican in place to be president before you even vote. So, it doesn't go down to the polls. This person
Right.
got this many poll votes, or this person, or that missing Chad. It has nothing to do with it. They're already put in place before you even go vote. And everybody says, yeah, it's going to be better this time, but it ain't.
Well, in your book, you talk about some Hollywood celebrities that were like really young children, and they'd say, "Well, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this," and they have, and it's like so they were groomed from a really early age for the role that they would have. And again, they're
Oh yeah, Denzel
revered.
Washington's.
Yeah, yeah,
It's huge.
yeah.
These people in this book. I mean, I don't know if I shared this the last time, but this is me
Oh,
in this movie right
what's
here
it
with
called?
six.
Yeah,
With
six.
six, you get an egg roll, but that's me on the top there.
Yep.
Um, as a child, that's me. I remember that day playing. I was sitting on the roof of the car.
Okay.
Um, there, I was in the show Emergency, One Adam 12, Green Acres,
Mhm.
and on and on. My Three Sons. I was in many, many films when I was a kid, and they simply gave my name, Richard Steele, to another actor. And when the name that when if everybody can see that picture of me,
Yeah. Yeah.
when was this? This was I don't have my bifocals on.
Mid to late 60s.
1968. This movie was released in 68. So I'm sure it was a year prior, when they were doing all the filming and everything to release it. So
Mhm.
I would have been 7 years old here. In
Yeah.
that photo, maybe 6, maybe 7. I was young though.
Yeah. Okay.
The actor Richard Steele that took credit for my part would have been 15 years old. There's no way in hell that that kid is 15 years old, which is me.
Right.
So they screwed up on the age, giving it to Richard Steele. Um, how could they even argue that that kid is 15 years old?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't.
Okay. Yeah.
He's
No, in your book, you said that you had met like Lady Gaga when you were like a child or something. And
no,
like,
no, older because I think she's 38 or something.
oh,
I'm
okay,
not
okay.
sure,
I
but
thought you meant,
when
yeah,
she was a child, yeah.
okay.
Um, and I was under MK Ultra, but I was always I would help these people become stars and give them advice because I've always said I had the 1,000-yard stare, from always being, wondering if somebody's going to take my life. I always pay attention to details, and I try to pay attention to everything. And that's basically just to try to stay alive. But my Hollywood skills and all that combined, I can read somebody really good. If I meet somebody, it's things stand out where I can give people advice on what is going to make them a star. I was sitting with Lady Gaga when her first song was played on the radio. We pulled off the side of the road and we were sitting on the curb, and the radio was playing and her song came on. And I said, "See, I told you you're going to be a star someday."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've given my advice to a lot of people.
I saw a video where she admitted to selling her soul for fame, and she was regretting it, but she didn't regret it because it was evil or dark. She regretted it because she's sick. And they didn't heal her. In fact, they probably made her sick. And I'm like, oh, uh, horrible reasoning.
Yeah, it's all organized crime connected.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't associate with anybody anymore. I
right,
don't know what
right.
happened, but like Lady Gaga, the millions and millions of dollars these casinos in Vegas and things are paying him.
Yeah,
Where is
yeah,
this money
yeah,
coming
yeah,
from? Where is millions and millions of dollars to see a show in
yeah,
Vegas? It doesn't add
yeah,
up.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but there's too much organized crime in the music industry, in the Hollywood industry.
yeah.
It,
Well,
it's it, it's huge.
they kind of shove somebody new down your throat. Okay. So they'll bring somebody out that you've never heard of. And their very first movie is a massive hit. And then it's like you go to research them a few movies later and they've got this whole story built up, pictures and everything. But they came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And she's one that kind of came out of nowhere. And like I'm sure she was singing and all that before. But came out of nowhere and now right to the top because she's in that club. You know what I mean?
I need to I get people reading my book and then they're haters and they say, "Well, I listened to the Eagles CD and you and Lady Gaga aren't on there because I guess Jackie put put what I had told her in the book, but I'm going to get my Eagles CD and play it and play it, because I'm actually on the back of the Eagles CD. Um, there's a one of those xylophones, where you have the little stick with the little ball and you're going ting
Yep.
ting ting. Lady Gaga had that when she was just a kid and she was dinging on it, and I said, that's really good. Um, and they put that on the very back of the Eagle CD. So you hear a ting 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 ting, and you hear me say that's really good, and then the CD's over. It's at the very end of the CD, and I got the CD. I need to play it, but why is that done? I really don't have a clue. I don't know
Yeah.
why it was done, but it's definitely me. It's definitely Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know, but it's there.
So last video, we basically talked about Trump, that, Trump went down in a helicopter in 1989. You saw a body after. that you claim was Dr. uh, Trump's body. All right. And so in your mind, he's been dead and he has a double out there, which I agree there's doubles out there. And I think pretty much everyone's noticing that now. So it's either guys wearing masks or whatever, but there's doubles out there. Oh my golly, did we get hate messages from people because they think Trump is their savior. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. It's interesting to see what is happening, like whether he will step in and help the people. My thought, though, is that the system is corrupt. So even if he was the best guy ever, he can't do anything for us.
You know, what was it, January 6th? I think that was the day. Donald Trump has not lifted one finger to help those people that were trying to support him. Not one. Not lawyers' fees, not try to get him out of prison, jail. He did not lift a fucking finger. These people were willing to take the country for Donald Trump, and he's not willing to do nothing. People just need to wake up to what I'm saying. I know the truth hurts. It hurts me when I see all these people rallying after a liar, after a con man, after a billionaire that has committed identity theft. It breaks my heart. You know, I see all these pickups and all these flags and everybody supporting this man, and they don't have a clue what is in his closet. They're just going with the words he's saying, the lies he's he was president of the United States. He did a couple things, but what really did he do? To, you know, if I was president of the United States when he was, you would already see a huge difference. All the, you know, from day one, hundreds of strokes on that pen. Let's get things rolling for the American people. But it never happened. He didn't. I mean, you know, he's for guns, but after the Vegas shooting, we lost bump stocks. Another Second Amendment legislation we lost. He didn't fight for it. He just let it go. Just chisel away at little things. You know, to me, every American needs to own a gun, and not only just a gun, have a weapon. They need to get the ammunition and stock up on what could possibly happen in the future. And I was thinking of this last night when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and attacked the United States of America. It was a split second, boom. And the military of Japan said, we just fucked up because we woke up a sleeping giant. They didn't want to try to invade the United States because they were too little, and they knew the citizens would put up a fight. I think their exact words were, there'll be American behind every blade of grass with a weapon to protect their country. And that's what we're going to have to do, because it could happen just like Japan happened.
I got chills as you said that, because we had so much more patriotism and love of country then than we do now. We have no respect for anyone anymore.
We would say the Pledge of Allegiance in the classroom, and that's been taken down. It was all about the flag, you know, the raising of the flag, putting the flag in the classroom, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, being proud to be an American. And now, you know, me as a child, I had the Army helmet on, and I played with the Army man and all that. It was a part of life. But I can't even post a picture of me with an Army helmet on TikTok. It will be removed. But yet, a picture of me as a child with a fake gun and a helmet will be removed off of TikTok. But they can show the war in Ukraine, 50 caliber machine guns and tracer fire back and forth. They can show all that. They don't get banned. They get hundreds of thousands of views. But little John Kennedy Jr. trying to share his story as a child gets taken off for misinformation. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it just shows you the level of corruption, even in social media. We're all being censored. Our stuff is taken down, and they don't want the truth to come out. And you have a lot of truth. Now, whether everything is going to play out the way we think, we don't know. But I think the hot button we got from the last video was the wall. People are so worried about these military age men and the immigrants coming into our country, and they're going into various other countries as well. They're very worried about it. And so they feel like this
And
wall is going to give them safety. And so when we talked about how like they've been coming over for years, okay, it wasn't a popular thing to say. Yeah. So
yeah,
people are
it's
very,
not
that's
good.
the hot button, I think. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
good.
So let's talk a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein. You had said several times that all of these famous people that we've been discussing basically knew him, interacted with him, and he was just like we'll call it a tool. Like he's not like the decision maker, he's a puppet. Is that
Exactly.
all
They're all basically puppets. Donald
right?
Trump is a puppet. Biden is a puppet. They're all puppets, but they're all in the satanic crime ring. Um, you know
Yeah.
what they do
Okay.
to children when they're young, and putting them in these positions. It, it's
Yeah.
it, it's huge.
Yeah.
It is so
So
huge.
So basically, the way we know it, okay, the story that we know is that he had this island with this like weird temple thing. It had tunnels underneath the island, and he would bring children in from other places. He'd bring executives, corporate CEOs, politicians, entertainers, whoever in to have this luxurious party week or whatever, and they could have their way with the children, which included torture, rape, probably consuming
Murder.
them. Yeah. So that's been going on. He was caught in, I think it was 2006, and kind of let go, like don't do it again and let go. And
Is
really,
that when he had cocaine in his room in Vegas or something like
and
that?
yeah, like so he was all their buddies, or they'd been to the island, so he was let go. But he got caught a few years ago, and then he was found dead by suicide, which we all know is untrue.
Is murder.
Yeah. And
You don't go to
again,
prison and hang yourself. They send a crew in, and they didn't want him telling what he knew.
yeah.
That's what they do with all people in political power. Saddam Hussein and all these others. Um, I was thinking of oh, my mind goes blank sometimes with names. I've said it 100 times, but
It's all good. It's
the
all good.
Oklahoma City FBI bought Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah, yeah.
Timothy McVeigh. Um, I know the story. I talked with Timothy McVeigh. I know why he did what he did, and they executed him right away. I mean, just I don't even know how long, but there's so many people on death row. But yeah, they didn't want him talking.
Yeah.
Um, they didn't want John Gotti talking. They don't like a lot of people talking and telling the truth. They find a way to shut them
Yeah.
up.
I recently saw a picture though of Timothy McVeigh that he was still alive. He was just like say Charles Manson. We think one thing has happened, but really they've done another thing, and they're free to roam around the planet. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know the
I
truth. You
I
know,
believe he's dead.
yeah,
That they would have had no reason to keep him alive. They don't care about human life. But they didn't want him talking. They didn't want him running around the country saying, "Yeah, the FBI is a murder crime ring,"
yeah,
and the FBI was asking me to commit murders for them for their organized crime ring, and I didn't want to commit murders, and I felt I had no choice, and was backed up into a corner and blew up the FBI building in Oklahoma, and that's exactly what he did. He went
yeah,
about it the wrong way. Um, but his exact words were, "We'll kill them all and let God sort them all out from the good from the
oof,
bad." Well, I don't buy that. You're taking innocent lives along with the criminals. You know, he would have been better off getting a sniper rifle and just popping them one by one.
yeah, yeah. What about Waco, Texas? We've had a lot of disruption down there in the past.
Yeah, our government and the Clintons did not want him becoming too powerful. He was becoming a powerful member of the crime family, if you want to so call it. Um, but yeah, I have personal, information on that one too. Um, but yeah, they didn't they wanted to put an end to his cult and his cult following, just like oh, I went to church. Anyway, it's in my book.
It's all good.
I go blank when it comes to names. I was tortured not to remember names, so I could not tell my story. So when I'm talking to you, it's like blank airspace in my head, but it takes a while for the name to
I
Reverend
have
Jim
that all the
Jones.
time, so no worries. Okay.
Reverend Jim Jones is a
Jim Jones.
very
Yeah,
good
you had,
example of
yeah.
Waco. He had a cult following. He had a church in San Francisco. He was becoming too powerful. He was not paying his dues to organized crime. Um, he wasn't paying his dues. He moved out of the country with his cult. American ambassador went to go collect those funds from him. They killed that American ambassador, or senator, or whatever he was from California, and that was the order of his cult to all
Yeah,
members be
yeah,
executed.
yeah.
And I was there putting dead bodies in tin cans. I'm a personal eyewitness to that tragedy, but you don't kill one organized crime member and get away with it.
So basically, those people, like they did drink Kool-Aid, if you will, or a drink with poison in it. All the people died except he did not want to die. And then your friend, your handler, Wayne, basically shot him, is what the story is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it takes a lot to commit suicide. I've thought about suicide many, many times, and one of my comments to someone that's talking about suicide, and I know it's bad, I shouldn't have said it, but back when I was always thinking about suicide, and I would hear somebody say, "I'm going to kill myself," I would say, "Well, you'll be better than I am because I've thought about it and just can't do it."
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to take your own life. I mean, that's the end. You don't, coming back, no more chances. And that's why soldier suicide is pre-programmed. I mean, to take your own life takes a lot of balls. It really, really does, because you ain't coming back. You're not getting a second chance, and they do it 22 a day, every day. Um, and they have to be programmed in their head to be doing this, and we need to put a stop to it. It's part of the plan. It's part of the takeover of the United States, like we were talking earlier. It's just another part of the program. And gosh, I wish I could do more for the soldiers that are killing themselves every
Right.
day. I really do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Just imagine how hopeless they must feel, how at the end of the rope they must feel to do that. Right.
Well, I have been there. Um, like I said, many of times I have had a gun to my head and had it cocked and ready to pull the trigger. But the thoughts in my head, the blood, the death, the gore, it is so overwhelming in your mind. You can't think of anything else. You can't get rid of it. It's really hard to get rid of all those thoughts, and it's extremely hard. I don't know how
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I really don't.
Well, I think, like I said before, you have a purpose here, and your purpose is really coming out now. You're telling us these stories, like, so most of us may have suspicions about stolen identity and doubles and clones and this and that. We probably have suspicions, but you're telling us stories, and now that awakens more people here in society. Until we're awake, or a majority of us are awake, we can't really take action, cohesive action.
And just to get it clear, when I tell a story, it's not conspiracy theory. It's eyewitness accounts and what they used me for.
Yeah.
Um, I was protected by the Secret Service. I was in the White House. Um, I was born in the White House. I was in the White House for 3 years. I became protected by the Secret Service, the United States Secret Service. So they used me for their crimes. I was on the scene when they would want a crime done and covered it up, because
Yeah.
a Secret Service officer cannot be charged with any crime whatsoever. They are
Yeah.
untouchable, just like the untouchables. So if I was there and a crime was being committed, Donald Trump was being murdered and replaced, if any other organization tried to expose that, it would be hushed. right then and there. So I
Right.
was taken around to many places like that, being under protection by the Secret Service. In 1988, I believe it was 1987, I swore an oath to become a Secret Service agent and protect my country to the best of my possible abilities. I raised my hand, it was recorded, and I became a Secret Service agent, and I wanted justice for all the murders. I thought, becoming a sworn Secret Service agent, I would get that justice. And I have not gotten that justice. And it's really hard on my heart. My
Right.
heart gets really heavy because day after day after day, year after year, I'm trying to share my story. I've called the FBI. I've, you know, emailed hundreds and hundreds of messages to these people that I want for justice for the murders of my loved ones, the theft of
Right.
billions of dollars. We're not just talking millions, billions. The Kennedys were huge. The Onassis family was huge, and these people had been murdered. I'm a personal eyewitness, not conspiracy theory, and I want freaking justice, and I don't get it. Um, I don't have the power. I don't have the resources. I'm going online, and then online I'm being hindered, shadow banned, and every other thing from getting the justice, that I deserve. Um,
Yeah. Right.
murder in this country is still, one of the top crimes that you can do. And like I said, nobody's showing up here. I invite the FBI here. I invite the Secret Service here, the CIA. Come talk to me. Hear my story. Hear what I know that I'm not just telling, in my book, but, a lot of it. Um, it's huge, but I'm exposing them. So,
Yeah. It's inconceivable for us, the average viewer right now. Like we've lived, we'll call it middle class, regular lives, you know. You've met so many celebrities, politicians, famous people. And then your stories, like it's mind blowing. So that's why I think you're still with us. You are here to show us the corruption, the evil, the organized crime, the plans, and what's done to the good people, right? Like kids, they didn't even have a chance to do what they were going to do. They were killed and replaced. It's not right. We need to know about that. Do you agree?
yeah.
I think that's why you're here. So, you said basically Epstein was, like we said, a puppet. So where did he get his orders from, would you guess? Like what were was his orders to get dirt on all the politicians and celebrities? Was that his job, like we've been told?
Um, I would just be guessing. I
Okay.
really would, but
Yeah.
it's all one huge crime ring, friends helping friends, billionaires helping billionaires,
Yeah.
um, putting things through. I mean, it's so powerful. And then the cells that, it's like the Trump organization and Trump's family and all the cells that come off of that, just like Hollywood stars, they have the power. They're untouchable. Um, they're Hollywood stars. They're protected. Not the average person can just call up Donald Trump.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's a tight circle. People say, well, why don't I get my story out by going to the news media and all this? It's like, well, how many emails do I have to send them?
Yeah.
Um, I wish I could get help. I would, like I said, I wish everybody that has read my book sends it to a congressman. Old school, just word of mouth, because we are being hindered. I'm being hindered. I'm not getting the justice. I'm not getting the justice
Right.
at all.
Right.
They cannot prove me wrong. They could prove me, 100% right in a court of law, but they
Yeah.
don't. They don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and of course, you know that the judges are under their control as well. And everyone is afraid. Either they believe in that cause, the dark cause, we'll call it, or they're afraid for their lives, their family, or whatever. And so that's why they
That's
comply.
that's the big one right there. They're
Yeah.
afraid. We only have one life to live. And when you got somebody in government in power with the power to take your life, and nothing will be done, just like nothing's being done about the murders of my loved ones, you get fearful. You tend to do what these people are telling you to do because you just don't want to die.
Right.
I've always said, you do what you have to do, but I'm going to protect myself and my loved ones. and I'm not backing down to nobody's threats. You know, they could probably put a lot of things on, you know, my rap sheet, you know, that I've done and try to expose me that way. But yeah, a lot of it I had no choice when I was young.
Right, right. It's hard for
Um,
us to understand because we haven't gone through that experience. Like we're living.
I don't even read my book. So when I get comments, somebody said you left us hanging on your book. It said you were locked in a bathroom and told you couldn't come out until that body was chopped up into little pieces.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like I didn't leave you hanging. I'm still alive. Obviously, I cut that body up into little pieces. I didn't want to die. Um, I didn't want to stay in a bathroom locked in there forever with a dead body. The things I had to do, just like that. You know, if I didn't chop the body up, somebody else would have.
wow. Okay.
You know,
So you,
I didn't kill that person. Somebody else did, but I was ordered to, you know,
yeah,
I didn't want, you know, I did what I was told.
you were kidnapped multiple times, like 3 or 4 times, it sounds like. And basically, it was the agents doing it for your family's money, and they would,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
So
a
they
game to
basically,
these people. You know, um, it seriously is a game. You don't play with the, you know, you don't pay up and go with the program, or if you're a judge, or you know, you do what they tell you to do,
right?
or you know, you die.
Yeah. Yeah. See, it's hard for us to understand that, like, because we're all of us watching this probably are like, we've grown up a certain way. We've been taught the laws, the rules, how society works, and we're complying with that. We're not trying to harm anyone else. We're, staying in our own lane. So when a story like this comes out, it's like so shocking. And yours is not the only story, all right?
Oh yeah, and anybody that's listening,
Yeah.
that has a story like mine, I had a ghostwriter write my book for me, Jackie Goldman. Um, she did an awesome job. I could not have done this book without her help. But if you have, you know, from Michael Jackson's daughter, real daughter, or you know, Trump's daughter, or any of these people that have stories that want to put them out, get a hold of Jackie, and she'd be probably happy to help you write a book
Right,
and get your story out. Is you know, we really need to go old school and help each other and get these truths out.
right, right, right. Um, you had said before you saw Wayne took you to see two aliens in a casket. So, and you weren't allowed to touch them. Like you started to reach out to touch them, and he says, "Don't touch." What did they look like? And is it your belief that they were real?
I didn't think they were. Um, but it looked like you know the aliens you would see on a movie, the little
Ah,
greenish grayish, you know, big head, big eyes. um that but I was just thinking they were props. But where we were at, we were underground. um it's hard to say.
okay.
um it really is.
Yeah.
Why was he showing me that? And why were they underground being hid out in you know, the tunnel where we had to go through into the room where their bodies were, and all that. But the technology that, you know, I myself believe that we were placed on this planet. um you know, you think about the ancient aliens and all that, but who knows? But
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is when the truth comes out, the real truth, everyone's mind is going to be blown. I had talked with King Smarty a couple months ago about Pearl Harbor, and I had asked a question: did we bomb Pearl Harbor, like U.S., so that we would get into the war? And he said, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that puts a whole different twist on it, doesn't it?" But you see how the dark forces, they want war. They make tons of money that way, right?
oh
And then
yeah.
Yeah. And of course, all these
Our
people,
CIA is good at starting wars,
yeah,
having
yeah,
people enemies start wars, and the weapons we have that are will blow your mind.
yeah. But what hurts my heart is that all these young men, patriotic because we all were back then, all of them were basically tricked into this war where so many lost their lives, they lost everything. Now they're the veterans on the street. They can't get a job. They've got PTSD. They've got no money, not enough to live because everything is going up. It's just a very sad cycle that's happened to them. It's not right, you know. And I know you experienced
Yeah,
that as well. You were over in Vietnam, I want to say once, but then you went somewhere else and did some missions there. And
yeah. They used me as a child. I think they were trying
yeah,
to kill me.
yeah,
You know, they had talked with Jackie, by what I remember, and it was like, yeah, let's hide this kid out because organized crime wants this kid dead.
yeah,
Let's hide him
yeah,
out in Vietnam with the brothers that are already there.
yeah,
And it was hard for me as a kid. Um, I mean, I was a kid. What was I, 9, 10 years old? This was probably right after my Hollywood acting thing was going on, but I was young. And
yeah.
I was there in the middle of a war, and these guys were telling me, you shut up, you don't say a word, you do exactly what you're told, or we're going to kill you ourselves. And that's how I learned.
Wow.
If I stepped on a
Yeah,
branch or something, I would get yelled at, keep quiet, stay on the rocks. And, you know, just, to, but yeah, it's crazy when I think about it. Um,
yeah,
how they didn't
the,
want me alive because they didn't want the responsibility of trying to protect me.
yeah. And the constant stress, like being in war, you're always afraid you're going to die. You don't sleep well, you don't feel rested, you don't feel relaxed ever. But you've pretty much had that your whole life, no matter where you've been. You've told us stories like you went to a cousin's or somewhere in San Diego and you were helping them with their auto shop or, mechanical thing. And like 3 or 4 times they tried to kill you there, but you were smart enough to have that red flag feeling where you knew
It
it
was
was
a
coming.
it was
Yeah,
a
you could
setup.
feel it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were totally planning my execution over and over again, and it got spoiled, just like it's been spoiled many many times.
yeah.
And
Wow.
thank God it has. Thank God the powers I've been protected, God's power, and my knowledge of how to stay alive and do whatever it takes.
Yeah,
Um, I was trying to explain to Robin because these powers will bug your house, put listening devices, and people don't really get what I've had to live through. Um, because they'll say, "Hey, hon," just for example, "Hey, honey, I'm going to Walmart." Or where are you going? Will you stop and pick us up a Little Caesars pizza? You know. So if people are listening to that, and it's very common, people just don't get it. You know, it's a good place to if you say it out loud, I'm going to Little Caesars. I'm going to be there in an hour to get yourself killed straight up. So
right,
I've had
right,
to live my whole life where I don't say, I'm gonna go to Walmart and buy me a new pair of shoes. I'm leaving now. See you, honey, or whatever. I've never done that. I don't make plans, but it is
right.
so common for other people to do that.
Especially now with the smart TVs, the phones, the computers everywhere, cameras everywhere on every phone pole, every store, every restaurant, every neighborhood. There's no privacy, but they're using that to collect your data, of course, for marketing purposes, as they would say. But they also know where you're going. And of course, we're all taking our cell phones with us every time we leave the house. They can track you. And then you go into your car, there's all sorts of chips and computers and things. They can track you if they want
Yeah,
to.
they're getting they can get information on
Yeah.
anything. Back in the 70s, when I was getting
Yeah.
protected by the Hells Angels, there was a phone in the clubhouse,
Yeah.
and right next to that phone was a sign. And the sign said, "Whatever you fucking say on this phone is being heard by someone else."
Yeah.
and a big sign right there next to the phone, just to remind people, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
the,
And you know what? Like Facebook was an ingenious invention. Okay. They put it out there. Everyone's sharing their personal stories. Like you've got pictures, you've got all sorts of stuff that they can use if they wanted to follow you, track you, or whatever. So there's no
and
privacy, there's no honesty, you know.
I don't know if you heard, but Facebook was my idea.
What?
Yeah, Facebook was my idea when computers first came out. The game Monopoly,
Yeah.
the Monopoly cards. You get Boardwalk and Park Place, and the cards to the Monopoly game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, you get one of these cards that look just like a card, but you personalize it to yourself. You put your name on this card, and then under the card, you put your message, what you want to type in. And everybody has these cards, and they can message all your friends. And so you're just like throwing Monopoly cards to your friends through emails, and they stack up in a line. And then it's exactly like Facebook is.
Wow. Wow.
But
Yeah.
I was with the Gates and all that. When that was done through walkie-talkie, I was actually in their garage. They built the computer through government plans and secret. The government spent all this money to build a computer.
So what you're saying,
And
it wasn't a random, oh, I have an idea. Like
right,
most of
right.
us. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It wasn't.
the government spent all this money to invent the computer, and they couldn't get it out publicly because it was a government project. So um, the secrets were sold to these guys, and I passed the secrets along. I was given a yellow and black walkie-talkie, and I would sit under their desk with this walkie-talkie on. And the guys building the computer in their garage, they were like, "I got a problem. I can't figure this out. What's the answer to this?" So I'd get on the walkie-talkie and I'd say, "What is the answer to this?" And then the answer would come out the other end of the walkie-talkie where they could hear, but I was actually sitting
Yeah.
under the desk where they were working. And
Yeah.
that's how Bill Gates and all these became billionaires instantly, because it was government secrets and I helped them pass it along through a walkie-talkie as a child.
Wow. Wow. And look what's happened since then. They've taken the credit, of course. They've
Oh
got
yeah.
the money, they've got the power, they've got the fame, but look at all the nefarious stuff they're doing with what they've
And
got.
look at Mark Zuckerberg. You think organized crime is going to let that little twit um, um, be a billionaire and have the power? There is no way. He is a total 100% puppet
Yeah.
to organized crime, straight up.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, it was my idea in the first place.
Wow. Wow. And you had said in your book, I think, that you had written a couple songs or written multiple songs. And I'm sorry, I don't actually remember which ones, but and you had performed a couple of the songs. Is that true?
Not performed. I used to love to write songs. I still do.
Yeah.
Um, when people like Lady Gaga were thinking of a song, actually, I'm in one of Lady Gaga's her music video. I'm the guy sitting in the background with the mask. You know where she comes out of the white coffins.
No.
But anyway, yeah,
Sorry.
she's got a famous video out. It's got millions of views.
Yeah.
But she comes out of a video. She's in a bathtub. But yeah, I'm the guy with the mask on, sitting in the background.
Yeah. Wow.
That's why
Wow.
they put, yeah, and it was hot. I was sweating my ass off under
Yeah.
that mask, and why they did it, I have no idea.
You're like Forrest Gump. You've stumbled into all these celebrities, politicians. Of course, stumble isn't the right word because you've been taken. Like, we've talked about this before, like you'd be awakened in the middle of the night and taken here, or you've been taken, they'd show you all sorts of things. And most of them didn't seem super positive to me, but yeah,
Yeah, I
interesting.
think I think a lot of it was just to cover their tracks for
Yeah.
being who I am,
Yeah.
and being used by them so they can commit crimes and get away with it.
Right.
I
Yeah, and
mean,
they
when I go to the FBI and I tell them about kidnapping and murder and extortion and all this, and they just say they put their hands up and say, "Go away, just go away.
yeah,
We can't
yeah,
talk to you."
yeah.
That's kind of the same scenario when I'm put in a crime zone. Um, if anything's ever investigated, they're like, "Go away. We don't even want to talk about it."
Inconceivable. You'd like to think if somebody came with a claim of murder or whatever, that they would at least get out of their chair and investigate. You know what I mean? And that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I still have a picture. I don't know what I did with it of my son when he was. This was after I was sworn into the Secret
Yeah.
Service.
Yeah.
Of my son sitting on a guy's lap wearing my clothes, a big clown nose with a buck knife up to his throat for extortion money. Um, they did nothing, absolutely nothing. But I carried that thing in my pocket for 25 years in my wallet, thinking someday I'm going to get justice. I'm going to get, you know,
Right.
justice
Right.
for all this crap.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about this before. Really, that is your true mission. Like you would prefer after this is over, you want your story to be out so that there's justice. And it seems like you want to live a pretty quiet life. You're not asking for much. You said you wanted to go fishing, you wanted to ride your motorcycle. You're not asking
Oh,
like for
did I tell you I
power.
got a new motorbike last
You
Sunday?
did. I think I
Oh,
talked to you the day after you got it. Yeah.
it's so awesome. I
Yeah.
wish I could be riding it right now because
Yeah.
it's a stress reliever. You're riding down and you hear the pipes going and the wind blowing, and it's just like the all the worries and stress just go away.
Yeah.
So I love it. With the stress
Yeah.
I'm under each and every day, and it's huge, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
takes that away. It really does.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so I guess what my point is though, you're not looking for political power, you're not looking for control, you're not looking for giant sums of money. You're not really looking for any of that. You're just looking for people to believe your story and for some sort of investigation, some sort of
We have
interest.
we have to save our country. I'm proud of this country.
Yeah.
I love this country. I'm not proud of the people running it, but we have to save this country, and I'm
Yeah.
willing to do whatever it takes to make things for better for
Yeah.
the people, the
Yeah.
victims like me. Um, and I'm a huge victim. I'm a great example, being in the White House and all the publicity and photo ops and stuff of my father and mother, and all that was going on, and being replaced right in front of all that, the world. People don't pay attention. They don't get how
Right.
serious my story is, and they need to wake up. They need to listen to and research. But it's huge when I'm saying the United States government has been taken over with identity theft. um it's extremely important to each and every American to get it in their head,
Oh, totally.
and be willing to do something about it. It needs to be
Yeah.
done, and I'm willing to give my life. Yeah, I want to go fishing. I've always wanted a little cabin in the woods with the pigs and chickens and that kind of thing, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes, anything it takes to get this out to the people and get
Right.
justice. Get justice
Right.
for the murder of my mom. Let the world know what they did to the first lady, what they did to my father. Everybody knows what they did to my father. I've seen it, hundreds of, I don't even, people sent me last week, sent me 20 emails of the video of my father being killed. I don't want to see it. He's dead. I don't want to relive it every freaking day of my life. I want justice for it, but I don't want to see it over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But people don't know. My sister was killed. My mother was killed. My mother's sister was killed. Her son was killed. It's huge what these evil people, these organized crime members do. I have seen children being killed. Um, they have no remorse for children like my sister. It's all about power and money. They're going to do it, and they're going to get the power and the money. And I'm trying to expose what's really going on. Um, how I'm happy just just being happy. I didn't, I had a dream of getting a Harley Davidson for years and years. I could never afford it ever. It was like a dream way off in the distance. And I got one out last week, and it's like, wow, things are happening, which is cool.
Things are happening. Well, the fact that we're getting this out now, and so one of the questions we got last week was, why has it taken them so long? And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, you've been trying to get this message out, I think you said 7 or 8 years, okay? Every time you do a video, it's taken down,
And for me to
right?
for me to get my story out, um, I mean, think about how hard it was for me to even come out 7 years ago and say, "Hey, I'm John Kennedy." I was told I would be killed. Federal
Yeah,
government agents working for our told me I would be killed. I
yeah,
wanted to get justice for my loved ones that be murdered. I wanted justice. They told me I would be killed. You can't say anything or you will be killed. I was told that over and over again. I've seen it. And if these people, once I first came out, if these people were as powerful as they say they are, I would have been killed already, because it's going on 7 years where every single day I'm sharing, hey, I'm John Kennedy Jr. I want justice for the murders. And if they were really powerful as they say, but maybe I got a lot of good friends that when somebody does come to try to take my life, they get sent back to their boss in a baggie or a whatever.
well, I think that, you've had protection that you didn't even know about, and you have a mission you didn't even know about. You were just doing what you were called to do, and you've done a beautiful job of it. And it's not over yet. You know what I mean? You still have to keep trying. It's not easy, but like, you have a nice supportive group. Everybody here, except maybe 2 or 3 people in the chat, are supportive and loving of you. And there's way more than that, than what we've reached. Now,
Yeah,
people
and those
don't
those two
know
or
your
three,
story, you know?
those 2 or 3 that aren't supportive, I'm exposing so much crime, so
Yeah,
many crime members, child traffickers, kidnappers. I'm exposing this whole crime ring, and nothing's being done. So it makes you wonder. You get a hateful comment. Who really are these people? Are they right? Did they sell their soul to the devil, or are they
yeah,
trafficking children? What's their motive of being hateful? Because most people that hear me talking and hear my
right,
story are very supportive, but there's a lot of that's why we have prisons.
yeah.
That's why we
Well,
have prisons.
here's my philosophy. We're doing these videos. We're out there trying to expose your story and get more support, but it provokes people to look around and say, wow, I wonder if he's telling the truth. And look around and you see the math, the doubles, the lies, the this, the that. And then you're like, wow, it started way back then. At least when you with you, maybe before, maybe this has happened before, maybe there's more people. Like, the more you open your eyes, the more you will see. And it's very nefarious stuff, it's very dark stuff, and it really kind of I don't know, takes the wind out of your sails. Like, you're excited for the country and what we're doing, and all you see is the negative, the prices going up, the corruption, the evil, the agendas that every industry has. It's really disheartening. Well, we're bringing the heart back because we are going to expose this story and all those that had wrongdoing, and you're an instrumental piece of that.
Yeah, well, we are at war. We really are. The America and American people are at war.
Yeah,
It's not, like you see old clips of war and the gruesomeness of it and the killing
yeah,
of, you know, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of soldiers.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you just block you.
It's war.
Oh.
Like I was saying, they don't mind killing children and putting people in place, but they're taking over the country from the top, not through war.
Hmm. Yay.
I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, well, what you were saying is they're taking over from the top. Like, so basically, it's not like a physical war of dark, you know, X versus Y, good and evil. Now it's a more informational, psychological warfare. And so they're basically tricking, controlling, and we are all slaves, as your father said. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we don't even know we're slaves. We think so. I always call us the free range humans, right? We can go to work, we can do some fun activities. We don't have a lot of money, so we can't do too much, but we think we're free. We're not free.
No, there's nothing free anymore. This is the
Mhm.
land of the free, but yeah, try to do something free. It's going to cost you. And
Yeah.
you got to keep working. You got to keep working, paying your taxes. You have no choice. You go to work, they take it right out of your check, and you're like, where'd all my money go? You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
no choice. And if you don't go to work, you're going to be on the street, and then that's illegal for you to be homeless.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We need to hold our government accountable for so much
Yeah.
that's going on. Yeah, you know most places in this country, it's a crime to be homeless. You'll get harassed by the police, but it's a crime. Well, how come we're not charging, our government with allowing this to happen, with allowing people to be homeless and not giving them enough um, jobs and funds to not be homeless anymore?
Right.
There's
Right.
there's so much that we could do that's not being done.
Yeah,
So
they
much.
don't want to help. Just like the billionaires out there. Like there's people starving to death literally every day here. All right. They don't want to help.
Yeah, even the tactics they use um, for what they do. Howard Hughes, everybody knows that he was crazy, and he just went crazy. Well, a lot of that was probably, his environment and like LSD and other things that were being given to him. He was in Vegas, and I remember being meeting him, and he literally had shoe those Kleenex boxes on his feet because he was afraid of germs. And when I saw that, it was like, well, what'd they do? Did they put liquid LSD on the arms of his chairs and on his carpet so he would go crazy? That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw a guy wearing Kleenex boxes as shoes. He was just afraid of
Whoa.
everything. And this guy was a billionaire,
Whoa. So what do you think the agenda was there? Take
taking
over.
over, taking over his money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Didn't
just
he,
like just like everybody else.
didn't he invent like some new plane or something like that? Something.
I think that was the Spruce Goose, or yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was some huge plane that only flew a few feet or something. But he
Yeah.
had he
I,
you know he was connected with Hollywood. He had a ton of money, but organized crime took it from him. They
wow.
drove him crazy. That's the tactic that they use.
Wow. Yeah, that's very sad. And a lot of celebrities, well, actors, entertainers, whatever, they die. But I think a lot of them have to fake their deaths because there's no way out. They have they're either going to have to comply or they have to die and live a quiet life over there without money, fame, fortune, because they don't want to do it anymore. So a lot of them do fake their deaths. A lot of them are murdered as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the truth is as time goes on.
Yeah, once they're in, they're in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's really messed up.
Yeah.
It really is. But yeah, they know when they become, stars, movie stars, you're going to pay up. You're going to pay up to organized crime, or you're not going to become a star. They're
Yeah.
like straight up, we'll make you a star, but you're going to pay us so much for making you that star. And if you don't want to go with the program, then you're
Yeah.
not going to be a star. We'll
Yeah.
just get somebody else.
And all of us guys, like a lot of people are envious of these people. Oh, they've got all the money, they've got this, they've got that. Well, when you really look deeper, you don't really want what they have because they have no freedom. They are being controlled. Nothing is what we've been taught, and it's pretty ugly stuff. But uh Have you ever had like a near-death experience or anything like that that you can recall?
Yeah, back when they made it so I couldn't have children, I had a near death experience, and I've always called it the big bug zapper in the sky because I left my body. I was floating to a bright light, one of the brightest lights that I've ever seen, but I had no control. My soul, my spirit was floating, my energy was floating towards this bright light. And I guess God, if the bright light was God, didn't want me. But I was like, why are these people doing this to me? And when I was talking to God and saying, why are these people so evil and doing this to me? I went back into my body, but they had me on a kitchen table, and they were actually cutting my balls so I could not have children again. I don't know why they did what they. I know it's all about blood, but yeah. So my wife had a child that wasn't mine because I couldn't have children. It's all about their blood, putting their family members in place. Um, but how did they know that I would be coming out someday so I couldn't have children? I don't have all the answers. I wish I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that was my near death experience. Um, it was peaceful.
yeah.
Um,
So God
I,
basically set you
I
down
felt
like,
no pain. I felt no pain, but
yeah,
I was basically just a spirit, and I was floating towards the bright light,
right.
to be with God. Just like energy, and so I wasn't actually, I didn't. Looking back, I was looking at my body laying there, so I was more like a
Yeah,
energy soul type of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it
Wow.
was peaceful. It made me not fear death, because I died and I experienced it. But it was at the hands of these evil fuckers.
Yeah, that story was in your book, and it sounds like you had gone to a party or something like that, and you were talking with somebody, and somebody chloroformed you or whatever. It
It was
sounds
actually a
like.
church meeting.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And that guy like kind of was he never showed up again. That the yeah,
Yeah, my buddy Charlie Brown.
yeah, yeah.
Never
Wow.
saw him again, but he gave me a sawed-off 12 gauge, little gangster gun, and said, "You know what? You're gonna need this more than me." I don't know if he already knew he was gonna die, but yeah, he gave me his protection. But he was like, when he gave it to me, he was like, "You are gonna need this more than I'm gonna need it."
Wow. And you were kind of like knocked out for 2 weeks after that event. Like you
Yeah,
were,
they dragged me upstairs after I died, after I came back in my body, after they cut my nuts. They drugged me upstairs. They put me in a bed, put an IV in my arm because they didn't want me to remember that I had surgery. So yeah, they put an IV. I woke up. There was actually an IV in my arm, and I was like, "What the hell?" But yeah, I believe I was there. I woke up and I had an infection from where they did their, tabletop operation on me, and then I was given antibiotics. But I was in a daze. They had me so fucked up, I didn't know up from down. And next thing I know, I'm moving to LA with my girlfriend, and we're going to her grand folks' house. And, I was just going with the program.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to, and would you call yourself religious in general? I mean, I know you didn't have we'll call it a stable childhood like many of us have, but
I believe in God, very strongly, that there's a power out there, um, the creator. But I got more of a belief, like, I thank God for everything. I don't know if I actually believe in Jesus Christ, but I believe in God, because this world is full of deceivers, and I've seen it over and over again.
right,
So was
right.
Jesus put on this planet just to deceive? Was he part of the crime ring back then? I don't know, but there's a powerful being, more powerful than I am, and I fear him. Um, but I hope I hope he's got me by the hand and he's carrying me along the way to get his message out.
I think that's the truth. You've been through more than we can even understand. And I know not every one of your stories is even in the book. All right. So there's a lot more we don't know about, of course, a lot more detail. And then you've had a lot of memory lapse and all of that. But I think that'll be coming out in the future. And it's going to be very interesting. You're going to have a lot of supporters. And
There's a lot
you'll look,
coming out now, each and every day. There's a gal on TikTok, Jody, that keeps pulling up my old
yeah.
movie career as well. Um, the show Emergency, I've always said, the guy on the Emergency, the star, like me. I've never bothered to look him up and see what they're doing, even if they're still alive to this day. But he gave me a necklace on the set one time.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even remember it. I think it was like a yin and a yang necklace, or I'm not even sure. But he actually gave me a necklace that he wore all the time, and he said, "I want you to have this." But he
Nice.
was a real cool guy, and where I was on that show, she showed it in a video just the other day, and I
Yeah.
remember parts of it. But yeah, I was on so many different things, being taken around and in a daze most of the time, and being told by
Yeah.
somebody else what to do.
Yeah, yeah. Now you said that the Queen made you swear, swear an oath to support England. Why?
It's hard to say, but I believe the family. I mean, Jackie, my mom, and the Queen were like sisters. They could have been sisters. I don't know, but I remember one day they were calling each other bitch and every other thing. It's like they were sisters. Um, it's all like it was one big family. She had me call her Queen Mom, Queen Mother. Um, so yeah, I don't have all the answers, but it's almost like they were even hiding me out for a while there too.
When you met the Queen, did you have any like weird vibe from her?
Um, she was one very powerful lady.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're at dinner, you don't speak, you don't say anything unless the queen speaks to you. I mean, there's a lot of, how you got all the fancy silverware and three forks and three spoons, and you don't know which one's for the soup or which one's for the salad. And I mean, you got all that laid in front of you, and you're sitting there with the queen. And I think one time I said, what did I say? I'm going way, way, way back, but it was like, I think I said, can I eat now because I'm really, really hungry.
That's great. That is great. Well, as a kid, having to sit there and be polite and eat like that would be like torture. Like when I was a kid, I didn't care as much about food. Like I was running around, we'd have to come in and eat, we'd shovel it down and we'd go outside again or whatever. And there was like, we did have manners and all that, but it was minimal manners, minimal time, and out the door. Now that I'm older, it's like all about the food.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I remember my sisters and stuff dressing me, and it was a big deal. I mean, cufflinks and your shoes had to be right with the little tie, and my sister would be like fixing me all up. But it was like a big deal. Everything had to be perfect because you were gonna have dinner with the queen.
Would you say that your mom and her got along in general, like that they were on the same page, or like you heard them calling each other names? Were they fighting about stuff?
Yeah, I don't remember even what they were fighting about, but I do remember they were calling each other bitches. Um, but it was almost like a sisterly fight. Like they were allowed to fight because they were family.
Oh,
Um, just like you would see two siblings fight.
yeah,
It was the same kind of atmosphere.
yeah.
So when I was there, I thought the queen was my family. You know.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Now, was there blood ties from Jackie to the queen, or somehow were they actually? I really don't know.
There's a show out called The Crown on Netflix, which is pretty much propaganda. And one of my students gave me the first season on DVD, and basically the queen in that show trash talks your parents. Yeah. And they present your dad as a drug user, and I don't remember what else, but it's definitely just propaganda. But I just thought it was interesting because we don't know what the real truth was, if they got along or not. Doesn't matter. I'm just curious, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much memories,
Yeah. But
of
like,
that, but
and I know you had said in your book that you had received a ring from the queen, which you no longer have. It was taken away from you. So that was your proof that you were there. But in the picture, you and John are showing, hey, I got a ring. Hey, I got a ring too. Right?
yeah, that was right before that I had met the Queen because he was showing me, I believe he got his ring from John Gotti. That's what I remember, that he had to commit a murder to get his ring.
Ooh.
And he was showing me his ring. He was like, he had it on his finger, but I didn't have mine because mine had been taken away. Mine was a big gold ring, and it had like a big moss agate, green agate in it. It wasn't like an emerald or something. So I was kind of disappointed. It's
Yeah.
like, how come I didn't get some big fancy ring? Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the queen would have said, "Well, you're just a child. You're not ready for a real ring yet." But
Wow. Yeah.
um, but yeah, so that in that picture that I shared, it was like, yeah, I was just holding it up. I got a big old ring from the queen, but he actually had his. I didn't have mine.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, in one of your TikToks, you had showed a like a metal, I want to call it a crown or a container. And I think in the TikTok you said it held human remains and you had to clean that out.
yeah,
And
I got it right here.
oh,
I,
okay.
I got other parts for it over there, but I studied this thing forever and a day. But when I was on the Aristotle's island, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
This was how it was in the tomb. It
Okay.
was sitting just like this, and Aristotle had me clean it out. Actually, I dumped the the powder, the human remains or whatever, because it was in a tomb in a coffee can, and then he had me actually polishing it. Um, I thought it was his grandmother. Aristotle Onassis' his grandmother, and they wanted, the urn to look nice. But I researched this, and it is crazy, crazy the images. Um, these are Greek sea dragons on the side right here.
Oh, okay.
That's a Greek sea dragon. Um, but you got little, if you can see right here where my finger is, they're little dots.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is from the time of Plato's cave. Plato worked with shadows and light. So you get the light rays hitting the little dots, and the light reflects off these little gold plaques right here,
Yeah.
and it actually changes the image. Um, these little plaques right here, if you can see that,
Yeah, you can
these
see
little
it. It's kind of like a floral or a plant, or it's hard to
it's
tell.
actually fruit, but it's actually a king and a queen.
Oh,
They're wearing crowns, but those little dots I showed you, the light will hit those, and being it's dome shaped, um, the computer started with a dome shape because there was so much information. But the light and the would hit off the dots and off the thing, but it's beyond this world. You can get a camera and you can take a picture of this right here, just this one
yeah.
little piece. You can get a camera and you can take 100 pictures of that little plaque. But there's so many dimensions in it. every picture you take, you'll see a different image in each and every picture. It's like you hear of 3D,
Yeah.
three-dimensional. This thing's like
Yeah.
100-dimensional. I over the years, I've took hundreds of pictures and I've studied it. But just these little sea dragons on here, like if I had it on my head, every animal on Noah's Ark is in this right here. There's monkeys, there's elephants, there's fish, there's and it's all 100-dimensional the way that the artwork is. There's a snake eating a mouse. If you light candles and you put this on the table, and it even looks like an ancient alien. This guy right here, but this guy right here looks like an ancient alien sitting in like a rocket ship.
Okay.
But you'll see a lobster, a monkey. This view right here is the owl right there. This is an owl. Um, but it actually makes a hologram. On the inside, there is millions of little dots in the gold. If you can see it's just like scribbles and lines. But
Okay.
it actually will make a hologram. There's a little ruby in it someplace where the light hits the ruby, but it's this right here is beyond. I mean, I studied this for years over, put it on my kitchen table, light candles, move the candles around. I would see different images. It's beyond my knowledge. I wanted to get a college to, and it's 3,000 years, close to 3,000 years old. So the technology they had before Jesus, and this is what, I might get some flack for this one. But if this thing is
Yep.
before Jesus Christ, and this thing will make a hologram of the god Athena, the owl god, and she actually in the hologram she comes up and she's got wings on. If this little pot will make a hologram and it's over 2,000 years old, they could have made Jesus walk on water. They could have put one of these with a hologram of Jesus, and you see Jesus floating above the water. It's crazy the technology they had. But what the ancient crown was, if you have a scepter, everybody's seen a king with the scepter in his hand with the little gold ball on it. What was it for? Well, nobody knows. Well, the king had a gold ball. He would have a crown on his head. So when the light would reflect off the gold ball, just like off the little dot on here, it would
Yeah.
change the image. So the king's sitting there on his throne with one of these on his head, and he's got his scepter, and he's got the lanterns out in front of him, and he's moving that little scepter right here. Next thing he sees holograms coming off the king's head, and they believe the king is a god. So I believe how they got a lot of the artifacts in the pyramids and things is people would see a hologram. They would see something floating, and then they would bring the gold gifts, thinking it was a god, or thinking the king was a god by him moving the scepter. But it was all deception. And
Wow.
yeah, so that's what a scepter actually is. The original scepters were to reflect the lights from the fires off the gold ball onto the crown, and then the crown you would see snakes, or you would see the cobra coming off. This one probably had the Egyptian cobra on it. It's got a big repair right here in the front, right there. But I believe it actually had the Egyptian cobra on it. But this
Wow.
thing will do amazing things that beyond my technology. But I studied it. I took thousands of pictures of it. These little gold plaques, like I said, if you take pictures, and I believe it even told a story. Um, but yeah, it's way cool. When you
So
light a
interesting.
candle and when you light a candle and shine it here, and you see a snake eating a mouse, or if you flip it over like this and you see a monkey or an elephant or a lobster, it's crazy how dimensional this thing actually is. So what is it?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know, but
interesting.
I've had it when I was homeless in California. I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want somebody to just walk off with it. So I actually dug a 3-foot hole. I wrapped it up in trash bags, and buried it for months and months before I could actually have a place to put it again. So
Wow.
it's way cool for me to do
It's
all that.
interesting. I know I had seen a TikTok a couple months ago and you were showing it, and I just was wanting to ask about that because I was interested in the remains, like what human was in there, but it
I was told at the time when I was a kid that it was Aristotle's grandmother or
okay,
mother.
right. So she's in a coffee can right now.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
actually there was two. They had me polish two of those. And
okay.
after I had polished them, they went to the little room on Aristotle's island and Jackie put plants in them.
Oh my
They
God.
sat on the end tables and they had plants in them. But why they did that, I don't know. But yeah, Aristotle had me dump the remains out of it and put them in a coffee can and actually, put the
Wow.
Brasso to it or,
Wow.
whatever cleaner I was using.
Just what a kid wants to do with their spare time.
They 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 always had me doing something. They were always telling me what to do.
Yeah.
When they would have a party, I was the one placing the silverware and the napkins and putting the and I remember the caviar. Um, they had to have their caviar put out on the table.
Mm. Wow. Inconceivable. So that seems like it's non-mechanical technology. And like you said, the king is projecting a hologram. And so if somebody walked up to him, it would be quite impressive, especially way back when, I'm assuming, you know. It'll be interesting to
Yeah.
know more.
Um,
Yeah.
they all they all thought they were gods, by what I've read in history.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of like my proof that they were tricking the common people into thinking they were gods.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the scepter, and by what I've seen experimenting with that thing and what the images they show, it's almost like they tell a story. I've even
It,
experimented by looking in it, um, and it's crazy. It's crazy what this contraption could actually be. I mean, when you think about this thing, what I think about this thing here, and like the computer, like how I'm talking with you right now, or the TV set, when the TV set was first invented, how did these inventors get their ideas? A lot of back then, a lot of the tombs were being raided. A lot of that technology that people had hidden were being discovered, like like this thing. Um, but yeah, it's beyond my comprehension how they can be a million miles away and putting me as a child on a show on TV. It's
yeah. I saw a clip, probably your friend Jody had put this out there of you with a dog. Like there were three boys with dogs bringing them to a lady's house, and she goes, you were like $2, lady, or something like that. And I don't remember exactly what show it was right now, but it was clearly the same boy that was in the pictures. Like obviously you look different than John does, and you look like a grown-up version of your childhood pictures, right? So that's
yeah.
why we're
There,
talking.
there's so many receipts out there if people open their eyes,
Yeah,
and they did it right in front of the whole world to see,
yeah,
and
yeah.
nobody caught it. And people this day, how come you didn't come out sooner? Why didn't you come out sooner?
Mhm.
Well, I thought I would be killed just like you would have,
Yeah, yeah,
if you had to deal with these people too.
yeah,
But when I got to the point where it's like I don't care if I die or not, um, I came out with the story. But
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's
Well,
hard for people to comprehend. A lot of people can't comprehend that they've been lied to, and they've been believing these lies. A lot of them their whole life they've been believing these. But we're going to change history,
yeah,
change the history books, and let people know that it was all bullshit, and
yeah.
it was all for the mighty dollar and the power.
Exactly. I think everything we've been taught is a lie. I was talking with a friend on the phone the other day, and I said, when I was a kid, the books were made by Rand Macmillan. All right. Do you know those companies now, what they do?
Mm-mm.
Weapons. So basically, those were all the books and maps were made by these companies. And of course, we don't know any better, right? We're kids. That's what we learned is what they fed us.
Actually, this was a few years ago, but I was looking at pictures of my childhood, with Aristotle on Assis and everything. But the Webster Dictionary,
Yeah,
um, I was actually in a photo with that guy.
oh,
And these are the people that write the dictionary and write
yeah,
history and put words in and tell us what the
yeah,
meanings of these words are supposed to be.
yeah, yeah,
So it's all, crazy how high up the chain
yeah.
of these things
So
go.
in like say the 60s, 70s, 80s or whatever, you wanted to write a report or research something, you had to either go to the library or you had encyclopedias. You had to look up that topic and cross-reference and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was very tedious. Where now we go, boom, and we've got it on our computer and we even have a little service that will write the report for us. But it was much different than it was now. And it was more simplistic and people were more trusting and no one we didn't think lied. Everyone trusted the newscasters, right? And so different than now.
Yeah. Robin
Yeah.
introduced me to Google Maps recently, and I'm just blown away. Um, we'll pick a place to go, and she'll put it in and turn left 400 feet on this street, or turn right. And we were coming up in Bullhead City, and we were going across the river. But the voice on on the phone was like, "You want to get in your left 2 lanes to make a left turn," and I'm like, how the fuck did that know that I was gonna? There's 2 lanes here on a 4 lane, and I had to be in the left lane. And if that's going on all around the world, that's just crazy.
Yeah. You know
It's
what
crazy
though?
amazing, but if it's used for good, that's way cool. But yeah, the possibilities of
It's
it
used
not
for
being
good and
used.
evil because they can track you, but we become reliant upon Google Maps or whatever we want to call it, the GPS system. And then you might use it 50 times without problem. And then the 51st, it'll take you on a wild goose chase. And I swear it's on purpose. And
Well, I
we've all
was
had,
uh I was experiencing a lot of problems with my Wi-Fi connection, and the technology they have is mind-blowing to me. Just being on the phone with the computer tech that was telling, that I was talking about, he knew my exact location. He knew what I had done in on the computer. It's like these guys know where I'm at. They know what I'm doing on the computer, and they're
yeah,
100 miles away from me.
yeah,
And that's modern technology. They they
yeah,
they already know what I did, and they told
yeah.
me how to fix it. And yeah, it's
They know
mind-boggling.
you, they know your TV, your IP address, what you've watched. They know all that shit. Yeah.
And even when I was young, I always had that, I don't know, call it fear or an idea that, yeah, there was just like the camera on the computer here, a little pop-up. But I always thought that they had a little camera right under the corner of the screen just so they could keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I was with Wayne one time, and we walked into this room, but I don't know what actually it was, but it was like a top secret room. But there was 50 giant TVs all over the whole walls, and there was 20 people in there, and they were all monitoring all these TVs, and it was just blowing my mind. Like that's the ultimate surveillance, and our government has it. Our government has places where there's 50 TVs on the wall, and they're monitoring what is going on each one of those screens.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they have that technology,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's
they're
it's
protecting us from terrorists, though. So,
yeah. Maybe they're
you know.
protecting John Kennedy Jr. and I just don't know it.
Well, I feel like we're at a good resting place for today. Is there anything else you wanted to say to the people watching this video?
Um, I get discouraged. I'm trying whatever I can do to get my story out. I'm being hindered. I want justice for so many injustices. And if anybody has a little extra time to help share in any which way they can, if they can send a book to a congressman, a senator,
Yeah,
I'm really concerned about the country
yeah,
and what it's coming to. And I can't do any more than I wish, maybe somebody's got
yeah,
some ideas that I can do more. But
yeah.
and thank you so much, Sue.
No,
You're much appreciated for having me on and getting this out. And yeah, I got another talk show to do later. A guy in Vegas. Maybe I can just keep trying to get it out. Anyway, but
yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're
Well, we will again share the book around. We'll share it on social media as well, and share the videos and things, and try to get the word out there. I think that's what we need to do. Like we're not going to be able to go right to the top and say, "Oh, here's a story." They don't care. It's the common person that needs to be educated, and the common person, of course, has a lot of programming. It's going to be really hard to convince them. We're not trying to brainwash
yeah.
people, strong arm them, but just read the book, listen to what we're saying, and look around to see what's happening out there in the world. It's
And
insane.
please help me get justice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my huge thing. But
And there's also
yeah,
a link for Cash App in the description below. If you feel called to donate, you can donate through John. It's Poor Boy John is your Cash App. $ Poor Boy John. And then again, buying the book will help in a very small
it's
way, but
it's
really
all
about the story.
it's all very much appreciated. I'll get extra money and get books and try to share them with people that can't afford books. But
Yeah.
any way to get the and it's to make this world,
Yeah.
get my story out world. It's not going to be cheap to get our country back for the American people. But yeah, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I just
I
wish
thank
we
you
could all do more.
for your time and telling us this. And again, you're going over the same story over and over and over, but like each time we do it, we're going into like side topics that are just plain Jane interesting. So thank you. Thank you. All
Thank
right.